The Jets have been a big topic of conversation. Opened up the show saying, how much could you really blame Robert Saleh? He lost his quarterback after 4 plays. The offensive line has been a mishmash all year with injury after injury to significant players. Mekhi Becton now lower ankle sprain, so he could miss 2 weeks. Might play this Friday, don't know, but it looks like he's going to miss 2 weeks. It's been this sort of thing week after week after week. That's just the way it's been. So you do wonder how much he could have done as a coach. But I really sat back and thought about this a lot today. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if Don and Peter would agree, and I'm certainly not sure if our listeners would agree. And it runs contrary to what I said when they made the deal. But unless the Jets win a Super Bowl in their next 2 years, the Aaron Rodgers signing, or trade, if you will, might turn out to be one of the worst things that they've ever done as an organization. Because you could see the offshoot of everything bringing Rodgers in has done to the team. Remember, they were slowly building a team. They built a great defense. They were putting together nice pieces on offense. And then all of a sudden they decided to go for it. It was hard to argue at the time because Zach Wilson looked lost last year, just like he's been lost this year. So let's bring in a Hall of Fame quarterback who's not that far removed from winning 2 MVPs in a row. So I think we all co-signed that. But now with the injury this year, which nobody could have foresaw, and then he's going to play next year and maybe the year after that, if they don't win a Super Bowl, even if they go to a playoff, it's going to be one of the worst moves they've ever made. He forced the hand on Alan Lazard, who's been a bad player. They have a 4-year contract with him. He forced the hand on Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb's not even active. Not even active. He's a healthy player who's not active on a team with no wide receivers. So that tells you what you need to know. Now, this came before Aaron Rodgers signed, but in the history of the world, when it's all written, I would think that they knew they had to sign Nathaniel Hackett to make sure that they could get Aaron Rodgers. So they brought in Nathaniel Hackett to be offensive coordinator. And it seems like, whether you like it or not, he's running the organization. Now, the reason I say this could turn out to be the worst move this organization has ever made, if they don't win a Super Bowl, and he's gone in 2 years as a 42-year-old quarterback, what exactly did you get other than utter chaos? Because when he's gone, they don't have a quarterback. And they have to start all over again. And after those 2 years, then you got to decide, who are we going to sign on this defense? Is it going to continue to be stout? Can we afford to sign Sauce Gardner? On and on and on. Garrett Wilson as well is going to need a contract. I just think this put them behind the 8 ball of either we win the Super Bowl or we've really set this organization back a great, great deal. Don, Peter, you agree or not?
I hear what you're saying, but I don't know why it has to be a Super Bowl or it's an utter failure. I mean, it's a franchise that if they don't make the playoffs this year, 13 consecutive years not making the playoffs. So say next year they go to the playoffs, they win a playoff game, and in his second year they lose in the championship game, and then it's over, he retires. Are you going to look back at it as a failure? Your franchise went a decade and a half without going to the playoffs, and then you go back-to-back years, you win a couple of playoff games, you play in a championship game. I mean, I don't know if anybody's going to look back at that as a disaster. Now, if you miss the playoffs or Rodgers only gives you 1 more year, well, then I'd be on board. But you're telling me a couple of playoff appearances and a couple of playoff wins wouldn't be something Jet fans would be happy about after sitting 13 years without anything?
I hear what you're saying. I gave that some thought. But, okay, when he leaves, though, you're back to 0. If you had decided, okay, and you can say, well, they're both injured now anyway, or they've had injuries. If you had decided, you know what, I think we're better off with Carr or Garoppolo. Carr's a 5-year commitment. You got a quarterback for 5 years.
But I still, right now, Carr's missed a little bit of time, but he's on a 5-5 same team. They will go to the playoffs basically because they're going to win a lousy division.
Right.
I don't know what they're going to do with Derek Carr for the next 4 or 5 years, if they're going to win a championship, if they're even going to be a consistent playoff team. So if Carr were here, yeah, you'd be in pretty decent shape as far as having a younger quarterback under control for more years. But would you still be able to reach for the stars like you can next year with Rodgers?
No.
Because with a healthy Rodgers next year, the expectations are still going to be better than they would be if the Carr was in his second year here.
But let me flip what you said right back at you, though. I mean, with Carr, you could make the playoffs. I don't think you can win the Super Bowl, but you could make the playoffs. So that's why I said if Rodgers doesn't win a Super Bowl, then it's a colossal miss. because you're going to be absolutely at rock bottom when he leaves.
Well,
because in all likelihood, if he's healthy in 2 years, and that's his last year, they're going to be a decent team. Let's say they're 10-7. They're not going to have a high draft pick. They're not going to be in position to get a quarterback.
But I don't think you'd be rock bottom. You're going as long as you hold on to your picks. Now they're not going to be high picks,
but you see what happens with a team without a quarterback. The Jets are example 1, 2, and 3 of that.
But they've had high picks and couldn't pick a quarterback.
No.
Right?
I'm not saying that, but you're least likely to get a difference maker. I mean, that's why having the second pick and missing it as badly as the Jets, that's a career. Sometimes it's a career ender for a GM. But if you have the 15th or 16th or 20th pick, they don't expect you to get a quarterback. So you're going to have to be very creative.
But my counter would be they had the second pick and couldn't figure it out. They had the third pick and couldn't figure it out.
But how about the other stuff that Rodgers brings? He's running the team. I mean, I keep hearing, well, they let go of Saleh. Rodgers will insist that they make Hackett the head coach. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Well, I mean, that hasn't happened yet. If things like that start to happen.
But we know that Lazard happened. Randall Cobb happened.
Listen, Lazard happened. I get it. And he hasn't had that great of a year. That doesn't mean that the contract's going to be an utter disaster. Yes, listen, it potentially could be a disaster. And maybe that'll be because Joe Douglas isn't the right general manager or Robert Saleh isn't the right head coach. If you've got a system in place here, there's no reason that just because you're going to be drafting high means it's going to be an absolute disaster.
I'll say this. I think Michael's theory, unfortunately, has a very strong potential to be correct.
That is true.
We can argue about whether or not, he might be hyperbolic radio guy by throwing in worst ever. Who knows, right? But although I respect the hyperbolic radio guy. But in terms of the general intention, Michael, of what you're saying, like an abject failure, it's certainly on the table. There's at this point, guys, we're very far away. It's still hard for me to picture him playing games as a Jet. Like, that's how far away. If you were to sit here and tell me, oh, no, beyond a shadow of a doubt, he's playing all of next year. He's going to be healthy all year. He's going to be great. All's going to be fine. Even that, to me, has been called into question at this point.
And listen, I'm sorry, Peter.
No, so we've gotten nothing from him so far. Nothing so far at all. He has also reportedly affected the quarterbacks that have backed him up, who are completely incapable of playing football. He has, there's an offensive coordinator that is here because of him, which so far we have no proof of whether or not that guy can actually coach. It goes on and on. It sort of does affect everything, from the beginning of this season through the next couple of years. And I don't know what the line is of that being justified. Don, I guess you're right. If they somehow go to a Super Bowl, of course it's justified. 2 playoff seasons, okay, great. But, man, if he comes back next year and they're either not good or, God forbid, he gets hurt again and that's just the end, it would be up there among the worst things ever.
Now, how do you think the Jets look at it? Now, I know for a fact they were devastated, clearly, when Rodgers got hurt. And nobody wanted this kind of a season. But look at all the nationally televised games the Jets have gotten this year.
Oh, they became relevant.
All right. They have dominated the landscape of not just New York sports, but all of sports, where now McAfee, it's a destination radio every Tuesday to listen to Aaron Rodgers. The Jets are playing the first ever Black Friday game after playing numerous nationally televised games, not to discount the 425 games that they've been playing.
And getting good numbers, too.
So even in a disastrous season that's likely going to end in missing the playoffs for a 13th consecutive year, boy, were they more relevant than they've been in over a decade. Now you fast forward to the start of 2024. Why would it be any different than it was during the summer? The anticipation, the sales of tickets and jerseys and merchandise and more nationally televised games for Rodgers to go out there. So if it ends up being 3 years of no Super Bowl, a handful of playoff appearances and a couple of playoff wins, but 3 years of having the attention of the sports world on MetLife Stadium and the Jets, I wonder if Woody Johnson and the Jets would mind that at all. Would they look at it and say, boy, from a football perspective, it was a disaster, but boy, did we parlay this into some cash, and boy, did we get a ton of attention we haven't gotten in the last dozen years.
Well, they definitely sold more tickets, and it is a business, but if it becomes a nuclear winner in 3 years, then they don't have another Super Bowl trophy to go along with the one they have, then I think it's a colossal miss.
But I guess where I disagree with you, Mike, is the premise. Peter's right. I mean, you've looked into a crystal ball and probably figured out exactly how it's all going to go down. But just because you don't win the championship and have to draft low because of the fact that you went to the playoffs and aren't going to get a high draft pick, doesn't have to be a disaster. If you got people who know what they're doing. Now, if you don't have people who know what they're doing, you don't have a kick coming, because no matter who your quarterback was, you were probably going to screw it up. But I don't think, I get tired of this conversation. Like, you have to have a top 3 pick to turn things around. I don't think that's the case. I mean, I know that you need the quarterback, but they've had top picks and can't find a damn quarterback.
It's not the case, Don, but the odds are more in your favor if you're picking high in the draft than late. I mean, Trevor Lawrence came with the first pick in the draft.
I know, but there's numerous teams. Mahomes wasn't a top pick.
But those are the outliers, Don.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
Peyton Manning was a number 1 pick. I mean, a lot of the great, and there've been colossal bust at number 1.
Yeah,
I hear what you're saying, but the odds are better with a higher pick. Of course,
they're better, but they haven't been better for the Jets because it's not like the Knicks, right? They trade away their picks and never have the number 1 pick when it's a special draft. The Jets in the last decade have had, going back to Sanchez. Sanchez was the 5th pick. It was okay, not great. Darnold was the 3rd pick, didn't give you anything. Now you had the 2nd pick, and Wilson didn't give you anything. So, and you see what Mahomes was, like the 10th overall pick. You saw Russell Wilson go to 2 Super Bowls and win one as a 3rd-round pick. I mean, I just think if you've got competent people that can put things together, you might be able to find the guy instead of just, it's a disaster. We don't have a top pick, so I guess we're dead.
Well, how about all the collateral stuff? Lazard, Cobb, Boyle.
Why does it feel like Peter knows? Peter and I have talked about this. Why is it that the good teams never seem to have cap issues?
I know they just get it done. They
find a way to get. They'll work their way. If Douglas knows what he's doing, he won't let Lazard cripple. I don't think Lazard's contract's going to cripple. I'm
not saying that. I don't think it's going to cripple. But it's a bad mistake. That's one of the reasons that Zach Wilson, although I don't think he's a good quarterback on this team, didn't have enough weapons.
So now you've painted a scenario which is clearly something that could happen. So would you walk away from Rodgers and blow it up?
No.
So you do
see
that there's still a chance here that this is salvageable. Now,
that's why I said if they win a Super Bowl, that it's salvageable.
But why does it have to be winning a Super Bowl?
Because if all they do is go to the playoffs and then it's a nuclear barren winter after that. You're going to say, how do we know that? We don't know anything. I'm just guessing.
But why is it a nuclear barren winter? I don't really see that post-Rodgers would be anything it was than pre-Rodgers.
Which is a nuclear barren winter.
Only because of their incompetency. Only because of their incompetency.
But don't you agree before the Rodgers trade was made, the Jets were building a nice team? They were doing it the right way. They were doing it slowly through the draft. They had a great draft that turned around the view of the team.
Right, but that never stopped with Rodgers because they needed a quarterback. So if they never went after Rodgers, what would they have been this year? Exactly what they are right now, right?
No, because they would not have started Zach Wilson under no circumstances. They would have gone out and got a quarterback, a younger quarterback.
Well, that's the thing. The whole conversation is different. We can probably, if we wanted to dig into it, come up with 10 options that would have been nowhere near as good as Aaron Rodgers could have been, but 100 times better than Zach Wilson was. Michael, how many options could we name that would be better than Wilson was and at least give them a chance to be sitting right now, again, in position to make the playoffs?
And people giving me pushback. Well, how Garoppolo work out in Vegas? You know what? He'd be better. He'd be better than Zach Wilson.
But oh my God! Of course he would be, and Derek Carr. You don't know if Derek Carr gets injured here.
But what? It's the Jets, right? So it's easy to kind of skew negative. But if you said, "Now we're good on Rodgers," now I don't know what would have happened with Rodgers. Maybe he would have just decided to retire. He'd wait out. Maybe they would cave and trade him to the 49ers or whatever. But if you went and got Garoppolo and you ended up benching him in the middle of the season, and not gotten Aaron Rodgers, how would that look? Or if as you're starting to build, Carr hurts his shoulder, and you're 5-5, and Carr looks very average. Everybody's like, oh, my God, how do we not get Aaron Rodgers? What were we thinking? And even with Garoppolo, even with Carr, you still love their chances more in 2024 with a healthy Aaron Rodgers.
Let's put it this way. I think they made the deal they had to make because at the time we all thought it was a great move. But now, with the benefit of hindsight, and the kind of pull that he has within the organization, because I've always found one thing. People might not agree with me on this, Players are the worst GMs. The worst. Look at some of the people LeBron. LeBron's one of the greatest players in any sport of all time. Some of the players that he wanted the Lakers to get, or he wanted Spoelstra fired when he first got to Miami. They don't know. Yeah. They don't think on that level. They're great players. Doesn't mean they'd be great GM. For every Ozzie Newsome, there's thousands of players that don't know what they're talking about.
Right, but you're hoping to have, I think, Rodgers for 2 more seasons. Right. So Lazard. Listen, it's not all Lazard's fault. It hasn't been a great signing.
But he has not held on to the ball.
He's not the reason they're in the situation that they're in. All right, that's year 1 of a contract. Now he's got in year 2 and year 3, he's going to have Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he has big numbers. So I guess where we disagree, Michael, is I don't think you got to win the Super Bowl. You tell me his team plays in back-to-back championship games, that you're going to look back at it as a disaster? When the team hasn't played in a championship game since 2010?
I guess
been to the playoffs since
we have
2010.
to wait to see what comes next.